Yeah,
Let's have a short intro about you and then we'll start.
sure.
Yeah, Dr. Vinay is a Felix scholar and a MedSRT scholar and ICMR-STS scholar also, and he's also a Rhodes Finalist. He completed his MBBS from KGMU. He's 2019 batch, and he's pursuing a master's in clinical and therapeutic neuroscience at University of Oxford. Dr. Vinay has over 60 plus publications in high impact journals, and one of his notable discoveries identifying a statistical association between pre-birth biomarkers and cerebral palsy, which was received in national media coverage. And also, he was honored with Outstanding Student Researcher and Eminence in Research Award in KGMU. He's the only undergraduate to receive this title. Let's welcome Vinay. Over to Vinay.
Thanks, Pawan, for the introduction. I'm sorry, I was a bit late actually. I had a journal club. Is my voice audible? Can you just confirm it once?
Yeah, you're audible. And
Great. Okay. So, I wasn't 100% sure what I should be covering in my presentation. This is actually a kind of presentation I've given to my juniors as well in my college and also a lot of other universities. But I tried to kind of like cover all the queries that people had from whatever the form that you sent. So these are my objectives. Just give me a second. Let me just, yeah. So I'd like to share a bit of my philosophy as to why I took up research so seriously. And many people really still have this question as to why should we take up research? And I'll share a bit about my journey and how I made it to Oxford and a few suggestions from my end as to what you can do. So this is my philosophy, right? Many of you who are already medical students are kind of aware of this timeline. About 21 lakh students give NEET UG every year. We have about 1 lakh seats, including private and government medical colleges. And again, you sit for multiple entrance exams. You're all aware of it. 68,000 seats for PG, and then finally you become a consultant. My question is, what next? Like, do you just settle down as a clinician? And many people are fine with it, and I don't have any issues with that. But my question and my philosophy is that there is a tendency actually to get into this monotonous daily lifestyle with no bigger aspirations in life. And I wanted to ask yourself two questions, and I'm sure this will give you a bit of an existential crisis. But this is honestly what motivated me. What made you stand out in this process? Does anyone remember you or know your name for praiseworthy reasons? And I think it's easy to like follow the crowd, and I really think it's important to come out of the mentality and remind ourselves that there is only one chance at life that we get. And this is another reason as to why I took up research because this is a calculation I made. It's kind of an approximation. A doctor can see about 3 to 7 lakh patients in his or her entire lifetime. About a century from now, neither the patients will exist, neither will you exist, and you're forgotten forever. And I know that sounds scary, and this is why I took up research, as it's one way to make a difference to humanity, and it gives me a sense of purpose in life because your work and contributions are immune to time, and it has the potential to impact millions of people and many more that you can probably see in your entire lifetime. So the simple equation that I've put up here, this is not necessarily true in every case, but generally this is how I see it. A physician and a researcher can produce much more impact than just being a physician. So this is a little bit about my journey. I grew an interest towards neurology during my early MBBS years, and I had amazing mentors who I reached out to. My biggest mentor was HS Malhotra sir, who is arguably one of the best neurologist professors in the country, and I approached him when I was in my third year. And I still remember after my classes, I used to spend countless evenings in his cabins, having chai, samosa, and we discussed so many projects. We conceptualized so many studies, case control studies, analysis, meta-analysis, and we discussed different statistical issues that we used to come across. And it kind of became like a habit to me, like how I kind of managed my MBBS studies with research. And honestly, it was quite addictive. These are a few images I just like retained from my previous presentation on some of my photos from my conferences which I attended in the US. and in Canada. So this was the AAN meeting earlier in 2025, and this is just a collage of some of my papers over the course of 3 years. This is one of the internships. I'm sure you guys already had a webinar on this MedSRT, and I was fortunate to actually get selected for this in my third year. And I think what's important in these internships is not just the fact that you're getting exposure to a lot of things, but also about the connections you make. Because the people who I am in touch with from my cohort, they became like friends for the rest of my life, and many of them are also my research collaborators. Uh, these are some other pictures during my time at MedSRT, and this is actually a workshop that I really want to talk about. It's the TIPS workshop. Kind of changed my life. It was the Developing Indian Physician Scientist workshop at JIPMER, and about 30, 40 MBBS students across India were invited for this 3 day kind of workshop where we had doctors across the country and abroad who kind of who were physician scientists who spoke about their research as well, and it was heavy. I'm gonna be honest with you, it kind of like changed my life because it was so motivating that I also met my mentor, Dr. Dennis Xavier, who's at St. John's now, and he went on to become one of the biggest mentors in my life, especially for my Rhodes Scholarship journey. This is another internship which also again changed my life. This is the camp Computational Approaches to Memory and Plasticity. It's a highly competitive internship. I had no clue, I had no hope of getting into this because this isn't even meant for medical students, to be honest. It's meant for postdocs and PhDs. And I blindly applied to it and I got in. And there was only one more medical student with me, and it was a transformative experience because this is where I was exposed to the other side of neuroscience, which clinicians and clinical neuroscientists, or rather I would say neurologists, are not exposed to, because it kind of made me understand how differently we as doctors see the nervous system and how neuroscientists see the nervous system. And we had lecturers from MIT, from Max Planck and whatnot in that internship. uh, this is a little bit about my study, which Pawan kind of touched upon, which uh, kind of changed my life in terms of my research career, because most of my statements and everything I talk about kind of revolves on this study. I have actually written about this study extensively in on LinkedIn, so feel free to read it. I won't be going in detail in this, and it was published in Pediatric Neurology, and it got a lot of media attention. So this is my journey to Oxford. It started with my application to the Rhodes Scholarship, and I actually heard about the Rhodes Scholarship from Dr. Dennis during my TIPS workshop. And he had actually mentored a few Rhodes Scholars before. And interestingly, St. John's is one college which has the highest number of Rhodes Scholars as medical students in India. And I emailed him, and he was happy to mentor me through it. So I'm sure Varad has already touched upon what the Rhodes Scholarship actually is, so I won't be going into it. Um, these are the requirements. There were 3 interviews when I applied for it last year, and I still remember me and Dr. Dennis. We were in the most awkward situations when he gave me mock interviews. I was actually posted in trauma. I was wearing a mask at the corner of the ward, and he was in Frankfurt airport. 30 minutes, his flight was about to take off, and still we managed to, sneak in a couple of mock interviews in between. So that's how my story of the Rhodes Scholarship was. The final interview was held in Delhi. It was a dinner with the panelists. I was the only medical student among 12 finalists last year, but I did not get the scholarship, unfortunately. And I was a bit devastated, of course, who wouldn't be? But I kind of convinced myself, like anybody else. I was a Rhodes Scholarship finalist, which is also apparently uh, a pretty hard thing to get into, because there are ex-Nobel Prize winners who were finalists and who did not get the scholarship as well. What did I decide to do instead? This is interesting. I kind of decided to take a detour, and I decided to pursue my interest anyways. I applied to Oxford, and I also reached out to a few labs at NCBS in Bangalore. I was, in fact, accepted to one of the labs to work on adult brain genetics and neural stem cells for regeneration. And I kind of decided that this is how my life is going to be like for now, because I just wanted to pursue my passion anyways. But that did not happen. Oh yeah, this is just a picture of some of the books that my mentor bought me when I did not get the Rhodes Scholarship. Dr. Dennis, he was not at all upset. He in fact took me for book shopping across Bangalore, on Church Street. And I think the reason why I put this up is because it kind of highlights the importance of a mentor in your life and how much big of a difference it can make. So Destiny had other plans. The same night, I went to the lab at NCBS and I came back and I decided, okay, I'm gonna train here for a year. The very night, Oxford sent me an email saying that they are interested to interview me. And the interview itself was extremely comprehensive. I had to not just present about myself and a project. I was also asked a lot of technical questions and also a bit about what I want to do in my life and everything. So, yeah, and then it happened. They take about a couple of months at least to revert back. They reverted back to me in 6 days, and they were happy to take me for their course on clinical neuroscience. And I got allotted to this beautiful Brasenose College. So, for those of you who don't know, Oxford has about 40 colleges, and you need to be a part of a college to be in Oxford. So I got allotted to this college. Interestingly, it's even this year's Nobel Prize winner was an alumni of Brasenose, the Nobel Prize winner from chemistry. So there were still challenges, as I think I'm sure would have covered this. It's not easy to get into Oxford without having your financial situation sorted. I was considering a student loan at the time because I did not have the Felix Scholarship yet. Then after a few weeks, I got shortlisted by the Felix Scholarship Committee, which is interesting because I think the Rhodes Scholarship panel, a few of the members kind of overlap with Felix Scholarship panel as well, and for most of the other scholarships as well in lakhs and all that. So they kind of already knew me. So I ended up getting the Felix Scholarship. And again, 6 people in the country get this. It's a 100% scholarship, and it amounts to about 72 lakh rupees. I did this calculation. It's not like it's in terms of pounds actually. Um, Yep, and this is, I think, the slide where I think it might be useful to why I think I got into Oxford and why did I get the scholarship. I think it was a combination of academic performance and research. My application screamed passion for neuroscience, and uh, and I already had a bunch of papers already, and I took an active interest to actually attend and present in reputed conferences, got travel grants, attended several internships, which I mentioned, and I tried to build a story around it. I tried to improve my competency, my skills, not just in molecular aspects, but also computational neuroscience. Um, and of course, I think academics play a big part of getting into universities like Oxford and even the scholarship because it's clearly mentioned if you go through the requirements for any course for that matter in Oxford, they do mention that you're expected to have an honors or you're expected to have a distinction or whatever. They mention the criteria, so they do take your academic competency very seriously. And the interview performance is also it's a decider. And I just put a point here, my future plans. So I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about this. This is actually my master's thesis here. I'll be doing optogenetic stimulation of the brain, the mice motor cortex during my Trinity term. Um, it's pretty interesting because we'll be looking at the brain plasticity and the functional recovery after stroke. And I need to get trained in operating on the brain of the mice and all that. It's a comprehensive training that happens over a few weeks here in Oxford, and it takes a lot of money actually. But my course director is paying for it, so they're quite open-minded because as a person from a clinical background, for me to come here and work on animals and also do animal training and these kind of bench neuroscience experiments, they're quite open to it and they don't mind which background you're from. In fact, there are a lot of doctors here doing a lot of high impactful neuroscience research. So, and the other thesis that the project would be on computational modeling of the working memory. I am contemplating a DPhil in neuroscience. I'm not 100% sure about that yet. There are a few potential projects, but my eventual plan is to become a neurologist and to pursue residency mostly in the US. Um, So what are universities like Oxford looking for? And again, this is purely speculations from my end. These are like my opinions. I feel that they're looking for a genuine candidate with genuine interests and passion for the field. And academic competency, I saw a couple of questions in the chat as well. Yes, they do take your marks seriously. They don't really care a lot about what your background is from. For instance, I'm in clinical neuroscience. In my course, there are people who are from pure biology neuroscience background. There are at least four medical students. There are a few pre-medical students. There's one pre-medical student from Harvard. There are a couple of them from Germany who are from, clinical in terms of marketing backgrounds, economics backgrounds, and people from every computer science backgrounds. So they really don't care about what your background is if it is within the scope of the course, but they are very much interested as to how you did relatively compared to your peers in your cohort. So that is kind of like I would say it's like a screening factor for them. And of course, research experience, I would say it's not something that that's required. Of course, internships, workshops, summer schools, these things add to your CV, and also working on projects related to your field of interest. Again, publications are not a requirement. They're almost never a requirement in any course that I've seen. They're definitely a bonus. They do appreciate the fact that you have published, and it's not easy to publish. But again, they're not a requirement. Um, and I think this is again another thing that I could make out after all the interviews, and I've been through the process. They're really looking for a person who can be taught, and this is kind of a reflection of your personality and your character, which is assessed mostly via your statements and your interview. These are some specific suggestions from my end. I think it's important that you build your story. Everybody is interested to know what your story was. No, when you read personal statements, right? Think of it from your own perspective. You can easily remember a story more than someone's achievements. Of course, they do matter, but they want to know who you are and what you're interested in, right? As a medical student, I think you should consider pursuing research alongside studies. It is possible. Learn research methodology, statistics. There's so many resources out there. Try to get involved in research projects. I would say reach out to professors in your college, any other college. Understand the importance of having good mentors in your life. I think that made a big difference in my life. I'm sure everyone can relate with this. Do consider attending workshops. I've listed some of them here. And yeah, this is a slide I actually had from my previous lecture. I think it's why to do research. You can just take a screenshot of this. I won't go into this in depth. This is an interesting slide. I think I made this after I saw a few questions on what are the career prospects after research. So like I already mentioned, a physician scientist route is essentially where you are a clinician as well as doing your research. It can be clinical research, bench research. There's so many physicians here at Oxford in the US who have their own labs, who also have a thriving clinical practice. And a degree like a master's or a PhD definitely provides an edge in securing research funding. Again, I wouldn't say that it's required. There's a lot of debate around this. I'm sure there are a lot of MDs who have excellent grants in the US, but again, it's something that definitely helps, right? And you're often deemed as someone who has more exposure to research than your counterparts, and and this does not mean that you do not involve in patient care. It's really important to understand this. It can be done simultaneously. So these are three key takeaways. I would say dream big, keep your ambition and adrenaline high. Question yourself at any stage of your career, what next? Follow your interests, keep working hard. Results will fall in place with time. Do not follow the crowd just because everybody is doing it. And failures are bound to happen, right? I had my own fair share of failures, and they are often beneficial. It teaches you valuable lessons. It makes you grow in ways that sometimes even success alone cannot teach you. So I would love to acknowledge my family for their support, my mentors, friends, teachers, and my university. This is just a simple collage of my time at Oxford, and at base knows that was my matriculation day. And I would like to end with a quote by Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done. Thank you.
Yeah, Vinay, that's a wonderful session. I think so. I think you covered most of the points. Now in the chat, we have to look for any questions if they have. I have one question for you. Why did you choose neurology? Like up to right now, I'm a final year medical student. Even I'm confused between I should take medicine or surgery, or the development of AI can replace the medicine. I was in a dilemma. But I think you, from the start of the second year onwards, you started research in the neurology and you have been publishing just in the neurology. What made you to choose that path?
Yeah, I do get this question a lot. So, as far as I remember, I think there are a few reasons for this. One is, of course, I did have a little bit of early exposure. I think I can mention it here. My dad is a neurosurgeon, and throughout my life, I've been exposed to a lot of neuro-related things in the medical field. But honestly, from an independent point of view, I think I was always fascinated with the nervous system. I think it's arguably the most evolved system, biology speaking, and it kind of defines us who we are. And I think the brain is one organ that we still don't understand yet, and things that we don't understand is something that interests me a lot. And and yeah, I think that's the reason why I chose neuroscience. And then it was a question of whether should I take up surgery or medicine, and that's, I think, a question that most people have during your med school. And I think it was my second year when I decided that surgery is something that really doesn't interest me. It seemed too procedural, and I want to use my brain in different ways. So I chose, I think, naturally speaking, neurology was a fit for me. So
Yeah, got it. And one more thing, as you said, like you want to do a residency in US at the finally, like you want to go for a residency in US. Can you know why didn't you choose a research job in US, something related to neurology, and do some 2 to 3 years neurology course there? Why did you choose a master's degree over it? What this master degrees provide you more benefit over that research job?
right. Um, well, I would say that doing so, I think by 2 to 3 years, I think you mean a postdoc, and I was considering that as well. But I think honestly, the neuroscience community at Oxford is one of the best in the world, and there are a few groups of, I think, few neurology groups, neuroscience groups here who I was really interested to work with, and I think. The other reason is that I think as a postdoc, right, in the US or anywhere else, you're expected to work in a lab or in a field in which you already have experience, mostly, right? So, because I come from a clinical background, the only opportunity I would have probably got is to work on clinical studies. I had that offer as well. But I think somewhere I also wanted to work on hardcore bench research as well, which is something I'm getting that opportunity to do it here. I'm sure it would have been difficult for me to get into, let's say, molecular studies, animal studies, optogenetic stimulation, manipulation, and all these other fascinating neuroscience experiments as a doctor if I had to go through a postdoc, because I mean, usually postdocs who are already specialized in neuroscience get that kind of opportunity. But here in masters, I have it's a taught course, so you also have lectures, and you also have a couple of dissertations, which was, I think, in my view, it was the perfect thing for me. Like it suited me and my interests, so that's why I chose this.
Thank you, Vinay. And one more question, Vinay. As the most of the research you have, like most of them are like systemic review and meta-analysis. Right now, in this age of AI era, do you suggest someone to do the SRMA or you want them to shift to some prospective or retrospective studies, observational studies? Which one do you ask them to prefer?
I would not prefer anything. I don't think you should be preferring anything. I think whatever you get your chance, like your hands on, you should just do it. If it's interesting you, if it is, if it is in your field, and if you really want to work on, you should work on it. Um, SRMAs are mostly secondary research designs and they are impactful, easier to conduct. So if you want to quickly work on something, you can do that. But I also have personally enjoyed working on a lot of case control studies that we've published and also on a lot of machine learning models. One of my biggest papers is going to get published in a couple of days. I just did the proofing where I built a lightweight gradient boosting machine model for predicting Alzheimer's. So I also can personally say that I have enjoyed doing machine learning as well, but I also wouldn't prefer anything because see, I don't think we as medical students in India were privileged enough to work on anything that we want, because MBBS itself is such a demanding course that we have to focus on academics as well. So I think clinical research is mostly what you can do in during MBBS. So I think whatever you can get your hands on, do it, whether it's original studies or reviews. I don't think that really matters because when you're being assessed by professors in Oxford, they are mostly interested in how much you have understood what you have done and how much you like the field more than what it is exactly.
Yes, Vinay, that's a good answer. Even people are asking about the how to increase their CV. I think you have founder of the research peer network, right? Like the as of right now, when I'm seeing in the LinkedIn post, most of the people are selling their SRMS, like first author is available. You can buy for this position like this much cost. But most of the people are going for that bait also. And I heard from Arkansh you have that research peer network where you collaborate with various people from the all over the India. So can you elaborate on that research peer network? How one can
Yeah,
join?
sure. I think the first thing that you mentioned regarding a lot of research malpractice, yes, it's going around. I think that's another topic altogether. Not sure if it fits within the scope of this lecture, but I think uh, one general advice would be to just keep yourself away from these kind of malpractices and just stick to, I mean, I'm sure you can find out online as to what are the ICMG criteria for authorship, what are the research ethical guidelines by COPE, and adhere to them and don't indulge yourself in any malpractice. That being said, you asked me about research peer network. Yes, it's just a small group of, I would like to call them friends or colleagues, where we just collaborate on research studies, and we do have collaborations with people in the US as well. So it's been going around for a few years, and we're highly conservative. And I just look into the neuro projects. Yeah,
Thanks, Vinay. Thanks for giving out some time to us and sharing the very insightful things to us, like how you got into Felix and what's your future plans and how did you got into this thing. Maybe we can end this webinar here.
sure. Thank
And
you.
in December, we'll be having a webinar about the clinical electives and the research job, and we'll be announcing the date after some time, maybe after 10 to 12 days after when we fix the date. Yeah. Thanks, Vinay.
Thank you.